Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of the Gridiron Glory. Tad and Will here, where we cover all 32 NFL teams. And we're here to bring it to you live, where we talk about the Carolina Panthers and their Week 5 matchup against the Chicago Bears, where they went to the Windy City. And, they ended up losing this football game on the account of 36-10. It was a very brutal showing for Andy Dalton, 18 of 28, 136 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. Did get sacked three times in this football game. So, you know, uh, certainly not what you were wanting to see out of Andy Dalton, not what you were wanting to see whatsoever out of the Panthers defense. Now 1-4, this Panthers team. And now you go into the helm of, on the flip side of that, you got Caleb Williams, who, threw two touchdown passes, 20 of 29. DeAndre Swift with a big touchdown as well. Really, I mean, you just saw this team, and it was a very complete performance for the Chicago Bears and a lot to be desired for, say, for the Carolina Panthers. You had guys like Andrew Billings, who had a sack and also a tackle for a loss. Kevin Byard. You even have guys like Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon. So you had playmakers all around on that Chicago defense. So shout out to them for just playing an all-around good, complete game of football. Really, I mean, Caleb Williams seems to kind of be settling in a little bit now as the Chicago Bears starting quarterback. Like I said, 20 of 29, obviously not a super flashy performance there. Um, but still, nonetheless, he finds a way to get the job done in a very reasonably fashion against, well, probably not necessarily the best team in the NFL. Definitely not the best team, the worst team in the NFL. But respectfully, I mean that. So yeah, when it comes to the Chicago Bears, this is just a football team that, again, it's a really good win for them. It helps them in their NFC North race. Bryce Young did play a little bit for the Panthers, because we are a podcast that covers all 32 teams. So talking about the Panthers, they did play Bryce Young a little bit, 4 of 7, 58 yards. And even in that time that he was in the game, he did get sacked. So seems that Bryce Young did get a little bit of garbage time. Chuba Hubbard, you obviously did rush for that touchdown. That was a pretty big play for the Panthers there. I mean, if you're a Panthers fan, if you're like a true, really royal Panthers fan and you were watching this game, that was something to get excited about. Um, I mean, it's just like they're 1-4. They have some exciting, flashy players. Shout out to Trevin Wallace, who recorded 15 total tackles and 10 solo tackles as well. And even guys like Charles Harris, 3 solo tackles, a sack, and a tackle for a loss, and even did get to the quarterback once. So, I mean, there are guys on this Panthers team that show up and play, but unfortunately, Dave Canales is in his first year as the Panthers head coach. You got Andy Dalton, who, I mean, yeah, a veteran if nothing else, but still nonetheless not what he once was back in Cincinnati. And then you got, just a lot, we talked about it before in the preseason, this Panthers team, when we did our preemptive research for the season, we talked about just like how the Panthers, we thought, they were gonna be coming to make moves, and yeah, we thought that they were going to be coming to make moves and everything, and they did make a lot of moves. Tad mentioned, hey, they're trying, but yet here they are, still 1-4. Is it safe to say that they're still, quote, trying, Tad?
I mean, everybody's trying. I mean, you're trying to win, and they've had obviously not the season they're hoping for. They've also had a few unfortunate injuries throughout the season that have sort of slowed their momentum. I mean, you can't really say momentum. I mean, they've not had a good season, so they've never really had momentum, but they were trying to be a more somewhat more serious football team, and they just get hit with a lot of injuries. You lose Josie Jewell, you lose Jonathan Brooks, the running back that you drafted. He's not played a single game this year. Obviously the big injury to Derek Brown. So I mean, a lot of the people that they were counting on to be productive this year have not been able to see on the field, and that's a factor. So it's not like they're not trying, but the results speak for themselves. The Carolina Panthers are not a good football team right now.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, keep going on about the Panthers. I mean, you have a
Right.
lot to say about them. Yes.
Yeah, they're not very good. They're doing what they can, but I think we saw a bit today in this football game that Bryce Young isn't the full problem. He's not perfect, obviously. He's made a lot of mistakes, but Andy Dalton, the veteran, he
Right.
had a rough
Andy
game. He had
Dalton.
136 yards passing, an interception. He also fumbled twice, so he struggled in his own right. So it's important to understand that there's a lot of things going wrong with Carolina. Their offensive line, we know what their offensive line is. Their defense is not getting the stops they need. You let Caleb Williams have his most effective game. Great showing by Caleb Williams, and he deserves a lot of credit for the growth he's shown. But
He does.
Carolina, I mean, they didn't do hardly anything to stop him from getting his 300-yard passing game, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. That's obviously not what you want to see out of your defense going up against a rookie quarterback, even one as talented as Caleb Williams. So a very disappointing look for the Carolina defense there.
Yeah, so Chicago goes to 3-2. Carolina now 1-4. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow on the Gridiron Glory podcast. This is Tad and Will, where we cover all 32 teams.